All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Paulina Lopez. I'm a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau, and I want to thank the Office of Congresswoman Escobar for having me today and for allowing me to present about accessing census data. We had been preparing for 2020 census efforts for about 5 years. And this is really a give back to our communities and our valued census partners, because we want to empower you to be able to know how to access census data, not only to apply for federal grants, but there's also private foundations, research, and other many valuable things that you can do with census data. So here we are. And as Carlos mentioned, I'm happy to answer any questions. So feel free to post your questions on the Q&A function so that we can address your questions. And so here we go. So an overview of today's webinar, I always like to start on why is census data so important, understanding geography and the role it plays when you're doing a search on our data tools. And we'll go over socioeconomic data for local governments and local municipalities so that you get some examples. And we'll be looking at American Community Survey 5-year estimates and some of the data products that the Census Bureau uses that use census ACS data. Some of these data products are quick facts, which some of you may have used in the past, data profiles, narrative profiles, and then we'll do a live demo on data.census.gov, which is a new data repository that replaced Fact Finder, and many of you may have used it in the past as well. I have also prepared some resources for you, a fact sheet, a handout, so that you save it and it makes your data search much more easy. And I'll allow some questions at the end as well. So why is census data so important? I like to say easy and simple, data equals dollars. And local communities, elected officials, nonprofits really depend on this information. Not only data using American Community Survey data, but also 2020 census data to decide where more resources are needed in our communities. And it's very important to know also that more than $675 billion of funding each year is distributed to our communities based on the census. So very, very important. And today we're talking also about applications for federal funding, right? So federal agencies expect local municipalities and partners to know what ACS data looks like, and for us to be able to tell our story using that data. So it's very important for you to be empowered with this information so that our applications can be very strong and we can leverage those dollars for our community. Some key census geographic areas that we produce data for, of course, nationwide data, metropolitan and micropolitan areas. We also produce data down to a zip code level and also congressional districts. So if you're meeting with Representative Escobar, you can get information narrowed down to her district. If you're working with school districts, you can also get data on school districts, state legislative districts, and you'll see the definition of places. So we produce data on places, which can be cities, counties as well, and census designated places. And census designated places can be incorporated or unincorporated, and these are typically clusters of population that planners have wanted to get data for. A very interesting example of a census designated place here in El Paso County in our community is Fort Bliss. So if you're working with Fort Bliss, you can get information on Fort Bliss as a census designated place. Canutillo and other areas that I'll show you are census designated places as well, and they're unincorporated cities or places, so you can get information on that. Of course, counties, and you'll see census tracts and block groups as well, especially for American Community Survey data. the 5-year estimates, we do produce data down to that level. So it's very granular data, very detailed information, down to very low levels of geography. So if you're working in particular areas, I'll show you how to get information on, clusters of census tracts or just one census tract. So that you're able to see data, for very low levels of geography in very detailed ways. So very, very interesting. So American Community Survey data, the ACS is the nation's most current, reliable, and accessible data source for local statistics on very critical planning topics like commuting patterns, educational attainment levels, income, types of industries that are available or exist in a particular geography, employment, etc. So you'll see how we separate American Community Survey data, especially on our new website, and how we organize it and how much information is out there for you. So I do want to make the distinction between the American Community Survey and the 2020 decennial census information that we have available. And so the American Community Survey is conducted every month and year. So we are out there in the field conducting the survey every year. It is sent to only a sample of the population. So about 3.5 million addresses or households are chosen per year to fill out the American Community Survey. And it asks questions that are not included in the decennial census, such as educational attainment, employment, and transportation. It has about 40 questions, so it's a much, much lengthier survey, and it produces current information about our communities each year. Whereas the decennial census, if you remember completing your 2020 census questionnaire last year, it was a very short list of questions, about 10 questions. It is conducted every 10 years, and it counts every person that's living in the US, DC, and the US and the 5 US territories. And it provides that official count of the nation's population. But with that being said, we also conduct about 130 surveys year round. So economic surveys, housing surveys. Last year, because of COVID-19, we started conducting a household pulse survey to really assess the state of the nation in such difficult times. So we conduct a lot of surveys. So if you're dealing with constituents and they say, is this a legitimate survey, you can go on to our website and check if it's a legitimate survey. But the main two surveys that we'll be talking about today are especially the American Community Survey and the decennial census, the population. Having some trouble with my PowerPoint. There you go. Some more features on the American Community Survey is that it covers about 40 topics, and you'll see all the different topics and data that we collect on the ACS. It supports about 300 evidence-based federal government uses and produces about 11 billion estimates per year. So this data was critical, for example, when we were distributing funding for COVID-19 relief and other critical programs. And we do 3 key annual data releases. So we do estimates for areas with populations of 65,000 or more. So you'll see these 1-year estimates for the city of El Paso, the county of El Paso. You won't see these 1-year estimates produced for low levels of geography that have, low population. So you won't see 1-year estimates for census tracts or zip codes, for example. We also produce 1-year supplemental estimates for areas with populations of 20,000 or more. But the 5-year estimates are produced for all areas. So cities, counties, places, congressional districts, census tracts, zip codes. So these 5-year estimates are really ideal for analyzing data for small population groups. And that's what we'll basically be working on today for our live demos, so that you see how these estimates come to play when you're using our data products. So the ACS content is grouped into 4 main categories: social, demographic, economic, and housing. And you will see that these are also the categories on how the data is separated or categorized in data.census.gov, our main data website. So if you're looking to see the educational attainment in El Paso County, you can go to the social grouping in data.census.gov. You can also find, how many grandparents are taking care of their grandchildren at home, languages spoken in that particular geography, school enrollment, how many veterans you have in that particular area, age, Hispanic origin, race, relationship between the people in the household, and sex in the demographic category. Economic, you will see employment status, the number of people in that particular geography that are receiving assistance, for example, with SNAP benefits or food stamps, health insurance rates, what are the income and industries and occupations for that population. And in terms of housing, and this is especially important if you're working with HUD or any other federal agencies that use housing information. You will also find computer and internet use, which we know the federal government has been pushing some programs on that and grants, especially for Native American and Alaska Native areas. So computer and internet use, home values, occupancies, structures, utilities, and when were those properties built, So the ACS focus on the 5-year estimates, some more information for you to know what to expect when you're using the 5-year estimates. So when we started implementing the American Community Survey in 2005, our statisticians really wanted to look at the reliability of the data. So one way to do this was to pool the data across those 60 months and weighted to produce estimates that were controlled for age, sex, race, and Hispanic origin. So because the more reliable my sample, the more I can use this data to describe my community, right? So with that being said, these estimates, these 5-year estimates, are not an average of 1-year estimates. Also, when you're working with 5-year estimates, if there were any annexations or changes to those geographic boundaries, that on the last year in the period, they will be reflected on the ACS 5-year estimates. And if you're dealing with dollar value estimates, such as median household income, these estimates will be inflation adjusted to the most recent year in the period. So just important things to know. And also when you're doing research and comparing data, especially using 5-year estimates, it's very important to only compare non-overlapping time periods for you to be more reliable in your estimates and your research. So for example, the latest data release for 5-year estimates was the 2015-2019 5-year estimates. So you would compare that to the 2010-2014. And again, if you're working with 1 year, compare 1 year to 1 year and 5 year to 5 years so that you're not comparing apples to oranges. But you'll see in our data tools that it's very easy to compare across geographies and subpopulations. Gives us the, indicates that there's less likelihood of relying on the results for your confidence levels. And since with the American Community Survey, we're working with a sample, you'll always margin of error right next to the results that we produce. You will not see a margin of error when we're dealing with decennial census data because we're so right there on the table. So again, please look at the margin of error because a higher margin of error indicates less reliability of the data, But So working on the 5-year data products that we'll be taking a look at today. First is quick facts. We'll also take a look at the narrative profiles and then the data profiles .census.gov. So before we go into the live demo, a very quick overview on quick facts is that quick facts is a very easy to use application that provides tables, maps, and charts of frequently used statistics. And really quick facts, it's a powerhouse because it combines censuses and surveys all in one place for very quick and easy access. So quick facts gives us information for cities, towns, census designated places that have a population of 5,000 or more. So if you're dealing with communities that have low levels of population, you will not find them on quick facts. You will find them on data.census.gov, which I'll show you as well. But quick facts also gives us information on states, counties. So you'll see that information there. So the way you access quick facts, let's see, let me share my website here. Okay, here we go. So the way you access quick facts is you go to our main census site, census.gov, and you will find quick facts in the main landing page over here. You will be scrolling down and then clicking on quick facts, and it takes you right there to the data tool. I've plugged in some geographies just for sake of time, but you can type, the state of Texas or whatever geography you're looking for, and it'll add it to your table. So you can compare up to 6 geographies. In this case, I've added the state of Texas, the county of El Paso, city of El Paso, a census designated place, which is Fort Bliss in our community, the town of Anthony here in El Paso County, and also Horizon City, just so to give you some diversity geographies that we'll be looking at. So as I mentioned, quick facts combines many different surveys and censuses all in one place. So we see population estimates that we release every year. So these were for the July 2019 population estimates. It also combines the decennial census information. So right now we have decennial census information for 2010. And for 2020, we are expecting those results to be released in August and September of this year. So that'll be reflected. Right now, we only have the population, decennial population for states and nationwide. So for lower levels of geography like counties and cities and census designated places, we'll see that later this fall. But we also have information on, demographics, age and sex, race and Hispanic origin, population characteristics, housing information from our housing surveys, families and living arrangements. So if you see this 2015-2019, that indicates it's coming from the American Community Survey data from 2019. Again, computer and internet use, educational attainment, health information, economic information, transportation, income and poverty, and some information from our business surveys as well. So it's all in one place. I did want to spend some time with race and Hispanic origin because I know many of you that are dealing with grant applications, typically encounter these concepts of race and Hispanic origin. So I wanted to spend some time going over how the Census Bureau collects this data on race and ethnicity. So the U.S. Census Bureau collects race and ethnicity information based on or accordance with guidelines provided by the U.S. Office of Management and Budget, the OMB. And these concepts are collected based on self-identification. So we don't tell respondents how to, check their boxes on their census forms. So it's based on self-identification, but the U.S. Census Bureau collects this race data based on a minimum of 5 categories. So that's white, Black or African American, American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. And also the OMB allows the Census Bureau to collect information on using a 6 category of some other race. So there are, again, 6 categories for race. And for Hispanic origin, it's for El Paso County. Let's go. Origin may identify with one or more racial categories. They mainly identify as white, but someone of Hispanic or Latino origin might select, Black or African American or Asian or whichever race they identify as, but they can only identify as Hispanic or Latino or not Hispanic or Latino. So, just some information for you when you're working with Census Bureau data, because I know that that concept might be confusing for some of you. But if you click on the I right next to each of the concepts, it gives you more information on how we collect this data and the categories. And again, you can do this for I, and it gives you information about the definition of the concept, the source, and the margin of error, etc. So, more information on that. But Quick Facts also allows you, if you're working with, producing tables or producing reports, let's say you're working with median household income, you can go specifically to that term, double click, and it takes it to the very top of my chart. So for easier comparison across the geographies, so I can compare what's the median household income, comparing Texas to El Paso County or Texas to the city or the different municipalities or CDPs in our community for, again, easier comparison. And you can also, if you want to isolate one concept, let's say health, you can select the drag and the drop down and click on the topic that you're working with, and it produces the data table on that specific topic. But Quick Facts. Another tool that I wanted to show you is the narrative profiles. So going back to, let me see if it works now. Okay. So let me show you the mapping feature first with Quick Facts. So, because I think it glitched a little bit, but it's working back now. So I want to compare the median household income with the municipalities in El Paso County. Okay, so, okay. So working with median household income with the municipalities in El Paso County, and here we are. So you see the different colors. That is the median household income. So if we click on each of the municipalities, we see the median household income for each of the municipalities. If I click on Horizon City, if I want to zoom in a little bit, and if I click on all those, it gives me the median household income. Down here is the legend. So these are the colors. If I on that, if I click on chart, if I want to compare all the counties in the state of Texas, this chart gives us, first El Paso County, and you see it's shaded in blue. So that's the county we selected. And it gives us the median household income for all the counties in the state of Texas. So as you see, it's a lot of them. But the dashboard compares or includes information on the table, mapping feature, and chart. So let's say I wanna compare the municipalities again in El Paso County. So it takes me the mapping feature takes me to El Paso County, selecting the municipalities that I selected first, or, asked QuickFacts to compare for me with the information in the chart, and then the bar chart as well for all the municipalities in the state of Texas. So you can share it, you can print this information, download it as a CSV, email, embed it to your website, or share on social media. So very interactive in the ways you can work with QuickFacts data. So very cool. Moving to our second data tool that I wanted to present, and I think that this is one of the hidden gems at the Census Bureau because not many people know it's there. But especially if you're working with reports, this tool has basically already written the report for you. So you again go to our main census website. You would click on surveys and programs and select American Community Survey. And this is the main American Community Survey landing page. So if you need more information about the questions that we ask on the ACS, how to complete it, and more, this is where you want to go. But we want to get data, right? So we'll click on data and then scroll down to narrative profiles. Okay, so here we see that we are working with 2015-2019 ACS 5-year estimates. And these narrative profiles are produced, again, since we know that ACS 5-year estimates produce data for all levels of geography, you can get information on the nation, on the state, on a county, a place, which again can be a city, a census designated place. You can also get information on a census tract, a zip code, metropolitan or micropolitan statistical areas or MSAs, and American Indian areas or Alaska Native areas or Hawaiian homelands. So in this case, let's start with El Paso County. So we will click on county, select the state. So go down to Texas, and then it asks you to choose your county. So we'll select El Paso County and we'll click on narrative profile. And it does take a little bit to load because it's getting all that very useful data for you. But let me close all so that you see the different categories that you can get data for in these narrative profiles. So you can get information on households and families, the relationship between the people in the home, what's the nativity and foreign-born, languages spoken at home, geographic mobility, education, disability, employment, industries, commuting to work patterns, income, poverty and participation in government programs, health insurance. You can also get the population chart to see the age distribution, housing information, financial characteristics, and computer and internet use. So let's open it all. And this is just another way of looking at the information, and especially you all that are working on the ground and have knowledge on the community, this really will supplement your information and inform your research in a very enriching way. So you get the narrative format of the data instead of looking at the data in very dry ways, just the table of data. This gives you an actual narrative. It tells a story of what's going on in that geography. So here it tells you married couple households made up 48.1% of El Paso County. What's the female heads of household, male heads of household, and then it gives the chart, and you can view it in a table format. So what's the marital status, nativity and foreign born, languages, and it gives you again the charts, geographic mobility, and I know many work with particular industries working on outreach campaigns. So this would give you information of which employers you can reach for to increase your outreach. What are the commuting patterns to work, income distribution, poverty and participation in government programs. And I think this is key for El Paso County because it shows us, children under 18 years of age live below poverty, 28.5%. And again, it gives us the narrative, so it also gives us, 20.9% of households receive SNAP, and 60.7% of the households that receive SNAP have children under 18. So we know our children live under poverty and are receiving this assistance from the government. Health insurance rates, again, you can see the population chart. And let me back to for you to see a change in geography to show you how detailed you can get in these narrative profiles, or how low you can go. So let's select 79901, which is the downtown area of El Paso County, which we know is the Segundo Barrio area too. So you can see, especially working with these communities, and let's see, working on looking at the types of households, marital status, and languages spoken at home. So geographic mobility. And again, you can see if you have this local knowledge, you know that this is an underserved community in El Paso. So you see the educational attainment is the 57.4 has less than a high school diploma. So this would be, a focus area for our school districts to work on, for example. And then what are the industries and types of places where people work at, occupations, commute patterns to work. And you see, we know that the downtown area, they're mostly renters, and you see that reflected in the commuting patterns to work. So 17.3% of the population walks to work, and 15.5% use public transportation. They carpooling 8.5, other means 6.1. Driving alone is the main mode of transportation. But if we look at other zip codes in El Paso County, you will see that this is a much higher percentage. Walking here is more prevalent than other zip codes. And again, you can get this information also down to a census tract level, and I'll show you how to get that in a mapping format so that it's easier for you to access. But if you're looking at the data tables and then supplementing your research with the narrative profiles, it just gives you a wealth of information, and just gives you another way of looking at the data. So narrative profiles, again, is a great way of getting all this information. And going to our main website, data.census.gov, our final data tool that we'll be looking at today. And many of you may have used Fact Finder before. It was retired last year. So this is now the main data website for the Census Bureau. And I call it the Amazon of census data, because whenever you're logging into Amazon and you want to find whatever treats for your dog you want, or shoes, or whatever you're looking for, you type the words to the keywords to do your search to get that Amazon results. So it's the same for data.census.gov. You can either type El Paso County population, but I always suggest doing an advanced data search so that it's more precise and it gives you the results that you're really looking for. So in this case, we want to get census tract data for El Paso County. So I would select the surveys, the American Community Survey, 5-year estimates, data profiles. So because we know that 5-year estimates are produced for all levels of geography, so I know that I will get this information down to a census tract level. And let me select my geography. So I want tract information, census tract information. So I will select, I will start narrowing down from state, so state of Texas, selecting then the county, so El Paso County. And then I want all census tracts within El Paso County. But if you know your census tract number, you can also select tract, but I'll show you also how to select a cluster of census tracts as well. So you can click search. And then when you go to the tables, you'll see the 4 categories for on how data is separated for. So you see the categories for demographic, housing, social, and economic characteristics. So depending on what you're looking for, you will, click on the different tables, right? But I wanted to spend some time here to show you the very detailed breakdowns of data that you can get on data.census.gov based on these demographic, economic, housing characteristics. So looking at the demographic characteristics here on the first table is sex and age, and you get the breakdown on age brackets. What's the population for census tract 1.01 on 5 to 9 years old? Or if you're working on a program that targets populations 65 years of age and over, you know how many people you're dealing with, male, female, race and ethnicity. And I mean, even down to tribal groupings. So you can get that information. 2 or more races, Hispanic or Latino, total housing units and citizen and voting age population, even down to male and female. In social characteristics, you will get information on, for example, educational attainment, relationship between the people in the household. So male heads of household, cohabitating households, female heads of households, etc. Marital status, fertility, the number of grandparents taking care of grandkids at home, how many years they've taken care of their grandkids. So it's, again, very, very detailed information, school enrollment, educational attainment, and then breakdown on grades or levels of education. What's the veteran status, disabilities, geographic mobility, citizenship status, and languages spoken at home. So lots of information down to the ancestry as well, and then computers and internet use, economic characteristics. And someone asked about census tracts. So census tracts are geographic demographers and at the Census Bureau. It's from 4,000 to 8,000 clusters of population, and it's like homogeneous populations in county. So in El Paso County, there's 161 census tracts. So we'll see that in the once we move to the map. And we typically see, so census tracts change every 10 years with census, with the census. So in areas that there is very high growth rates, you will see a lot of changes with census tracts. But since El Paso hasn't experienced that much growth or that much change, the census tracts haven't changed that much. So you'll see the census tracts. And someone also, geographic mobility is, and that concept means if they've moved residences in the last year or not. And then finally, in the housing characteristics table, you will find how many total housing units occupied, if they're vacant, if total housing units, and which year they were built, how many rooms they have in the house, how many bedrooms. So this is, valuable information for developers and for those organizations working with HUD funding and HUD programs. So what are the values, rent, etc. So let's look at, for example, in if you're working with rural areas in our community and you're working in an educational program, and you want to know which areas in our community don't have access to internet. So I want to go to or select the social characteristics table and then go to the map. And here you will see, in our first table, when we selected the filters that we wanted for our search, I wanted census tract information. So it has selected the 161 census tracts in El Paso County using ACS 5-year estimates down to, again, census tract level. And using the maps feature, you can map any of these topics that I have available for any of the categories. So in this case, I wanted to know internet access at home. What's the percentage of households with internet access? So if you saw, the colors changed in the map. So here's the legend. And it gives me, the lighter the color, the less internet access they have at home. And it makes sense, the rural areas in our community, Tornillo, Favens, over here, Anthony, Canutillo. And if you zoom in and click on any census tract, you will see the percentage of internet access that they have at home. Fort Bliss area, 98.4%, which makes sense, but you go into the Segundo Barrio area and internet access is way less, 42.9%. If you want to customize this map, you can clear the geographies. And let's say I'm only working with the downtown area. So I want to select, I'm working in this area. So I click on select, and it produces the map with the information for the census tracts that I have selected. If I also want to add this census tract, I can select it as well, or I can click on it and deselect it as well. And then when I go to customize map, back to the table, the table now only has the information of the census tracts that I have selected. If you further want to customize, you can click on the customize button and then select, you can add more geographies, so you can compare, all those census tracts to El Paso County by selecting geography. You can add additional topics like what's my educational attainment in these areas, and then you can go back to the map. You can also download this information in an Excel spreadsheet, or just download the information for you to, if you're working with Tableau or any other mapping features or mapping programs, you can use this data for your own analysis and plugging in to your own programs there. So data.census.gov is very flexible in that you can work your tables, you can work your maps using that data. I don't know why I took New Mexico over here, but you can really customize that information depending on what you're looking for, down to very low levels of geography. So again, if you're working with census tracts, if you're working with zip codes, you can change your geographies and go from there. So if you want counties instead, you can change to counties and customize your maps and your tables. And if you want to clear everything again, you would click on the Census Bureau logo and do more advanced searches based on whatever topics or geographies you're looking for, and it will further customize your searches and your maps that way. Let me see if there's more questions. There you go. So I did want to spend some time also going over more resources that are available for all of you. And it's our Census Academy. So if you go to census.gov/data/academy, and I'll share those links with you. You can also find data gems that show you, these are very quick videos on how to use data.census.gov. So they show you how to create customized map, how to use the filters, how to access information for particular levels of geography, like neighborhoods or areas, how to visualize the data using the maps, etc. And these are 5 to 7 minute videos, so very, very short. So these are available for you. If you're looking for more specialized data or lengthier videos, we have upcoming webinars and recorded webinars, like on different topics like business formation statistics. And then we recently did one on the new features on data.census.gov, how hurricanes impact employment and earnings. We also have a community resilience estimates database. So this webinar shows you how to use that. Demonstration data for redistricting. So these are much more specialized, like housing characteristics, trade information, data for librarians. So this is all in one place. And thank you, Carlos, for sharing that link. So you can find all of these resources here. We have courses, all in the data.census.gov/data academy. But I will share this handout with the Office of Congresswoman Escobar for them to share with you. We do have an ACS information guide if you're wanting more information on the questions that we ask, the historical origins of the ACS data products. Quick facts. So this handout, you can save it on your desktop and have all these links ready to go so that you don't have to navigate different websites. It's all in one place. So this handout has the direct link to quick facts, to the narrative profiles, to data.census.gov, and to the different resources that we have, and the Data Academy. Also on these resources, you can get information on the Census State API for those of you that are advanced data users, and then get microdata access and just more how-to materials. So we wanted to leave you with lots of handouts and PDF information in PDF format for you to know how to export a table, how to do the mapping. Some people are more visual that way. So these are just more resources for you to have available. So that has all the websites for you to navigate, and you can save it on your website, on your desktop, and have it available there. But going back, before we move on to more questions, and again, I'll share these slides with you as well. Very important information is about how to cite U.S. Census Bureau data. And I know this information is critical for those of you who are applying for federal grants, is that it's always very important for your audience to know how to verify the data that you have provided. So you can use this example on how to cite Census Bureau data. So you will put the name of the Census Bureau, because you're using U.S. Census Bureau data, the tool that you use, for example, if you use quick facts, and then the website, and very important, when you accessed the data. So this is critical information, because if you access the data in November 2020, and we publish the information in December 2020, we know that you were using the previous 5-year release, right? So this would be very important. And since we're continuously publishing new data, this information would be critical for your results. And again, these are more resources and additional training. So the Census Academy, data gems, information, and more presentations for you, so that these are available for further training for your organization. So I want to hear from you now if this information was helpful, if you're planning to use the narrative profiles, quick facts, all of that, and if there's someone else who can benefit from this training. So we want to be present in your applications. If the Census Bureau can further empower you and help support your efforts, we're happy to help. We are available for further training. And I don't know, Carlos, I've been answering some questions from the chat and the Q&A, but for everyone who's here with us, feel free to post additional questions and let me know if this was helpful or if you want to go over some more topics over here.
Absolutely. Paulina,
What was that, Carlos? You're breaking up.
can you hear me? Stable.
Yeah, I can hear you just a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Well, I wanted to say, and also add, I know you touched, but census data in grant application is kind of standard. It's the best kind of use. And we have had here in Congresswoman Veronica Escobar's office, we've had folks reach out looking for specific data, especially regarding specific grants with health insurance, education rates, home free populations. And it really allows their applications to, because a lot of the times these social issues and these issues may not be awarded as that specific sub that want strong that is kindly by the this where you'd like to be. And so your information can reach out to you.
Yes, of course. Let me type my, because you're breaking out. I think I got your question. So how can people reach out? So I'm putting my email in the chat. We do have an evergreen program that's a data dissemination team at the Census Bureau. So they're able to answer more detailed questions, and you can request training as well. But you can go through me, and either I can provide the training to be more specific on the topics that you're looking to get data for, or get a specialized person from headquarters and our data dissemination team. So there's my email on the chat. And I posted it to, I posted it to all panelists. So let me copy paste it again to make sure everyone gets it. And you can email me with data questions as well, and I can share some more resources with you. But yes, I mean, all these applications sometimes are very, you need to be very specific, right, on the types of data that you're looking for. I do see another question. Does ACS track literacy rates? So I do know there's information to, and let me make sure that I'm sharing my screen correctly so that I can show you the website. Okay. Stop sharing and then share my website again. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the advanced data search. So let's say you want information, and this question is from Quentin Kinnard. Quentin, are you trying to get information on maybe a county level or census tract level? Let's do census tracts, because I think that gives us more detailed information. So let's census tract, and let's see what data we have. County level. Okay, so let's do county, and then state of Texas, and then maybe all counties in Texas, right? Okay, where we want the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. And let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm used to this already, so sometimes I go too fast. And let's do education and see what we get. Okay, so let's look at the tables. I do know there's, oh, then let's customize and just select. Maybe it's too many counties. So let's do El Paso County and then another county, just to see what information we get. And sometimes you get that because it's too much information for this to handle. So we'll see. Okay, so we see, let's scroll down to see what school enrollment. So we get school enrollment, educational attainment, and that's for population 25 years and over. And then you get the breakdown on the level of education. So I don't think literacy rates is here. It's just educational attainment that we're able to look at. Let's see if we add, yeah, school enrollment, educational attainment, and education in general. So that's the information that we have available. Okay. And then I see a comment. Okay. So Quentin, this would be the information that is available. I do know that on the narrative profiles, let's go to, again, looking at El Paso. Let's see what information we get on education. I do believe you see a chart on educational attainment as well. Okay, so education, and it's educational attainment. So you see that breakdown. And you can see it in table format as well. So it's educational attainment, what we have available. On quick facts, let's go back to the table. Again, it's educational attainment, not really literacy. Are there any other questions? Oh, you're welcome, Quentin. And then the narrative profile really gives you, I love the narrative profile because it pretty much has the report written out for you. So you and you can copy paste and cite the Census Bureau and you should be good to go. Are there any other questions or things you want to go over? Any other requests for data that we can do a live demo for? Carlos, anything else? I don't know if you all want to post on the chat, or any questions. If this was helpful, and if you learned something new today, we're always happy to hear from our, to see what's helpful to you all. And I think, all right. You're very welcome. Thank you for allowing us to present today. It's an honor to be here with you, and we're happy to support your efforts, especially those of you who are working with our underserved populations in El Paso County and Congressional District 16. And again, I want to thank the Office of Congresswoman Escobar for this time and opportunity to be here with you today. So again, I will be following up with the Office of Congresswoman Escobar so that you get a copy of the recording and the materials and my contact information as well, so that we can continue to be in touch. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.